People First Scotland's experience of giving evidence to the UNCRPD Monitoring Committee. This video was made by People First Scotland and Inclusion London.
My name is Rosie Smith and I'm Chair of People First Scotland.
And I am Keith Lynch. I am a Director for People First Scotland. We are a collective advocacy organisation and we campaign for the rights of people with a learning disability.
What is the UNCRPD Monitoring Committee's role in checking that the UK and Scottish governments are upholding disabled people's human rights?
The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities describes the rights that disabled people should have wherever they live in the world. We will call it the UNCRPD whilst we speak. The UK and Scottish governments have signed up and agreed to the rights in the UNCRPD. This means governments should be doing everything they can to promote and uphold our human rights. Government should change their laws that discriminate against us and treat us badly or unfairly. The UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities looks at whether governments are doing enough to promote and uphold disabled people's human rights. The UNCRPD Monitoring Committee asks disabled people's organisations to share their evidence and lived experience. The UNCRPD Monitoring Committee also asks governments to share evidence of what they are doing through policies and strategies to support our rights. The UNCRPD Monitoring Committee will write a report to the governments. The report will set out what they found and it will say which laws and policies should be changed to support our human rights. The UNCRPD Monitoring Committee undertook its first review of the UK and Scottish government's progress on promoting disabled people's human rights in 2016. The committee found grave and systematic violations of deaf and disabled people's rights due to welfare reform and austerity measures. Grave and systematic violations means that the governments have carried out a serious abuse of our human rights through the policy decisions they have made. The UNCRPD committee were very concerned about the UK and Scottish government's failure to uphold our human rights. A special inquiry was set up on the following areas of our lives: the right to have equal chances to live and participate within the community, the right to good work, the right to adequate social protections and standard of living.
Why have People First Scotland, along with lots of other disabled people-led groups, decided to write their own report on the government's failings in upholding our human rights?
People First Scotland have over 1,000 self-advocacy group members across Scotland who come together to share our life experience. We are the experts about our own lives and we can share our powerful voices. People First Scotland were pleased to share evidence on what life is like for people with a learning disability. We met online with other disabled people's organisations where we all shared evidence of human rights abuses against disabled people. All the organisations worked in respectful partnership. We agreed on who would speak and when. We did lots of preparation before we went to Geneva. Our life experience is one of being treated as having less value than people who don't have a learning disability. Our rights are ignored and our dignity denied. It is upsetting to hear about how people are treated, but we are not surprised. Our shared life experience unites us.
Tell us about your visit to Geneva, where the UNCRPD Monitoring Committee met to hear more evidence in person.
The UNCRPD Monitoring Committee asked disabled people's organisations as well as the UK and Scottish governments to provide evidence at the same in-person meeting. the UNCRPD held 2 special inquiry meetings. The UK and Scottish governments did not attend the meeting in 2023. We were only informed that governments wouldn't attend 6 days before the meeting. We still attended and gave our evidence. We had 3 minutes to say what we wanted to say. It was hard to fit it all in, but we managed.
What did you tell the UNCRPD Monitoring Committee about the lives of people with learning disabilities?
We told the UNCRPD Monitoring Committee the following. In the UK, meaningful involvement in policy and decision making is still not happening for us. That barrier negatively impacts our well-being and health. People with a learning disability die 20 years younger than those without a learning disability. People such as social workers and staff are allowed to decide that people with a learning disability don't have to have the things we need in order to have a good quality of life. Governments should stop substituted decision making where other people such as doctors can make decisions about us. Supported decision making would change our lives for the better. This is not offered to people with a learning disability. There has been little change in the rules, laws and policies that restrict, dictate and limit our lives. Many people with a learning disability are still stuck in psychiatric hospitals because other people can still make decisions for us. Our dignity is denied by grouping autistic people and people with learning disabilities together in mental health law, which is designed for those who have mental health conditions. This means that we can be detained in hospital on the basis of our disability. People with a learning disability are unsupported as parents. Support is inadequate for family life, and our children are often removed from our care. We are facing barriers to services throughout our life, and we are still not believed when we report abuse. Services do not support our right to independent living, and accessible information about services choices are rarely provided. We returned to Geneva in March 2024 when the UK and Scottish governments turned up. The government shared inaccurate information and answers, which was disappointing to disabled people. We have seen very little progress, and some people with a learning disability still remain locked away. Many government policies and strategies are actively discriminating and making our life worse.
Tell us how you felt about your visit to the UNCRPD Monitoring Committee meeting.
Speaking in the committee meeting is something that I really enjoyed. It felt like a real honour to share the collective voice of people with learning disabilities.
The power of organisations like People First Scotland comes from the collective voice of members. We offer a safe and supportive environment to share life experiences and decide together on campaigning priorities. For many members, it is the only place we feel like we have a voice and are listened to. If decision makers listen to our voice and take on board what we say, they can then change and write policy and law. We will continue to share our experiences and make our voices heard. Nothing about us without us is what we say. We demand change.
What are the next steps, and how can speaking up groups get involved in raising concerns over how we are treated by the UK and Scottish governments?
The UNCRPD Monitoring Committee checks whether the UK and the Scottish governments are upholding and promoting our human rights. We are waiting to hear what the next steps are in the UNCRPD Monitoring Committee's review. You can contact Inclusion London or People First Scotland for more information. Our websites are www.inclusionlondon.org.uk and www.peoplefirstscotland.org.